So the question is, can I turn this into this? Okay, so as you would have seen from the thumbnail and the intro, I'm trying to turn scrap into a pizza oven. So let's flip the camera around and see what we have to work with. So we have a piece of mesh, we have a piece of flat bar, we have a piece of squarish tubing, two pieces of small square tubing, an old compressor tank given to me by a friend, and some angle iron down here. So yeah, let's see what we can do with this. So this is the tank over here that I'm intending to make the chamber out of. This was given to me by a friend, and I believe he wanted to make a smoker out of it. So he already pre-cut lines all the way down and around the top here, and these lines I'm not going to be using. So first I need to clean up all the paint and the rust on these lines. I'm going to be using a flap disc to clean up all these lines. I'm going to weld them up, weld them nice and shut again, and then yeah, I can start by building the rest of the chamber, getting the pieces in. So as always guys, safety equipment, respirator, so you don't breathe in any of that metal dust while grinding, metal and paint, some gloves, things get hot, eyewear, and of course the earring. So with all the weld seams or all the lines now nice and clean, I can go about getting my weld out and welding all of these lines shut. Okay, so what you would have just seen me do is I welded the seams on this tank over here. Got them all nice and seamed up. So I ran 2 passes on this. Some of the gaps were quite big and I didn't want to bridge them all in one go. So wherever I couldn't bridge the gaps in one go, I just laid some bead on the side and then came back and filled up all those cavities. So up next I need to plot out the lines of where I am going to be putting the pizza entry port. I'm thinking I'm just going to go below this or just across the center part of the tank. This will give me the most width, so I can fit a larger pizza or a large-ish pizza into the tank. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this wooden plank that I have below it, and it's standing on its 2 feet. So that's going to give me semi-level reference points to work towards. Get that front piece in there, get it all cut out, and then I'm going to go to the top and take a couple of strategic points where I'm going to mark where the tank reattaches, because I'm going to cut off the front. So I have access to the inside of the tank, and by having access to the inside of it, I can do all my construction on the inside of it. Find out where my firebox is going to go, find out where my pizza tray is going to sit, and all that fun stuff. And once I've got that whole piece on the inside all fabricated up and fitted to the lid, I'll slide everything back in and weld the front piece back on to the tank. I think that's going to be the easiest way to get everything inside, instead of trying to cut the tank in half or whatever. Just cut the front off, have nice reference points where the tank really lines up, and by having this front piece pre-cut out, I will know where to weld everything onto it. So when it slides back in, everything should be nice and level and in line when I put the feet on and get this thing all standing nice, when cutting the hole for the chimney or the hole at the back, so I can do the flap. So yeah, let's get to that, marking everything out, and then yeah, cutting it all out and getting the fabrication of the next step going. So I'll be using my trusty plasma cutter over here. I'm going to use a piece of scrap wood that I've got lying around. I'm going to use this as my guide. I'm going to line up on the line, and I'm just going to use one hand to cut, the other one to be my guide as I cut along, to create a semi-straight cut on these 4 lines over here. So let's see if we can get it done. First cut done. Doesn't look too bad. So with any bit of luck, we have a hole. Okay, so with our hole cut in the front now, I need to now remove the top part of the tank. First, I'm just going to take a wire brush and just remove all these pebbles from the flux core welding, and then I'm going to use the seam that is on the tank already. So I'm going to use that seam there as my guide to remove the tank. Cut along that seam all the way around the tank, removing that front piece. But before I do that, and after I've cleaned, I'm just going to mark my reference points all across the tank. Mark a couple of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in case they get grinded off or heat takes off a couple of them. At the end of the day, I will have a couple of references at different spots. So if one fails, there's another one to look at and get it done. So yeah, let's get into that. Okay, so what you would have seen me do in the last couple of clips is I've marked my reference points of how to put the lid back on. Also made a couple of Koki marks, but like I said, the chances of them disappearing with the heat, as soon as the heat gets added to the whole system, is quite high. So I actually took my plasma cutter and I scored a little notch in here, and I did the same on the other side. So that will give me a hard and fast reference point once I want to put this lid back on. So now next, as you can see, the inside of the tank is quite dirty and danky. So next up, I need to clean the inside of the tank up, get everything on the inside nice and clean so I can start with the construction for the inside. So the plan is that this front piece that I have over here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be welding this whole piece that's going to go inside of this. I'm going to weld it straight onto here with all its brackets and stuff coming through to the back here, like it would go into the tank as if it is inside the tank already. Then once everything's done, I'm just going to slide everything back in, lean in and see if I can tack a few spots in place, or try and get everything tacked up nicely or something like that. We'll see how we go about it, but that's the initial idea. Build everything onto this and then slide it in, and then just re-tack the front side and tack the back side up through the hole that I'm going to put in there, where I'm going to add the wood into, where the fire basket's going to go. And yeah, let's see if we can use it in that order. Let's see. Okay, so let's check on the progress. We have welded up the front, so the front has now been fixed back onto the chamber. We have our pizza hole. We have our firebox. And yeah, next up I'm going to fit the chimney. I'm gonna grind down all the weld seams, and then it's time to put a fire into this bad boy and light it up to see if I can burn off the paint before I start grinding it down. Okay, believe it or not, it's time to test the whole system out. So what I'm doing is it's a two-parter. I am going to burn off the paint while testing the circulation of the heat.
My dad made the best pizza one. It takes pizza